Hi, I'm Mark Wade from CenterCityCondos.com. As a 37-year veteran of the Center City condo marketplace, and as a resident of Old City for 21 years, I'd like to teach you a little bit about really what's going on in Old City. Now, back in the 90s, when I first moved into that neighborhood, into the Old City, the only kind of condos we'd find would be studios and one bedrooms. The average sale price. I remember I bought my first condo in Old City in 1990. I paid $75,000 for it, and that included parking. Now, if we look what's going on today in Old City, it's quite a different story. And here's what I find to be very interesting. So this is a new piece, a new construction condo piece on the corner of 2nd and Ray Street. And if we look, a unit there just closed at $1.8 million. Now, a couple of decades ago, you could buy the left half of Old City for $1.8 million. But the prices today are really surprising because there's a lot of new construction that's really propelling those numbers fairly high. Here's another one in the same building that popped at $2 million. This is a building that was new about 20 years ago. Good square footage, 2,300 square feet, closed for $715. Everything inside was about 20 years old. Good space is what it had, and it had parking. This is at the Moravian. This was there are two parts of the Moravian, the older part and the newer part. This was the older part. It just happened to have some significant square footage, 2,344 square feet, sold for $800,000. Here's another one. This was a two-bedroom, two-bath. Actually, it was a two-bedroom, 1.5 bath. Good square footage, though, and that sold at $670. That was, again, in the older part of the building. 225 Race, this is just a 4 or 5 story kind of warehousey row, very original floors, beautiful windows up front, it's exposed brick, very modern, very appropriate for the neighborhood. That sold at $770. Just a real quick, just a couple more. 108 Arch, I thought this was a beautiful unit, unit 504 and unit 304. I sold this one. Absolutely beautiful. 2 bedrooms at 108 Arch. You've got such grand space because you've got high ceilings and a wide opened living room, dining room, kitchen area. So it really gives a real sense of space. And the 108 Arch is a 20-year-old high-rise building, about maybe 20 stories tall, 18 stories, something like that. But a neat unit, and that sold had parking for $725. This is an interesting one. This is a newer construct. They took an old building, they built, gutted it in its entirety, and look what they're selling for now, $800,000. 1,300 square feet. Now, again, this style, where you take an old building, you just gut it in its entirety, is very, very interesting, and basically comes off of new construction as with some really interesting pieces. I mean, look how those doors open there, floor to ceiling. Isn't that something else? So anyway, here's another one. There's a penthouse in the building. This building, top floor, sold for 2.525. Again, this kind of trend, this kind of where the prices are $700, $800, $900 per square foot is happening in Old City, and that we would not have seen that even a decade ago. But the growth of new construction, the popularity of the area has really propelled Old City into some phenomenal numbers. This was really neat. This is that penthouse. You may recognize this building, 101 Arch Street. Top 2 floors. It had its own private swimming pool. It was on the market for a while, perhaps a little pricey, and asking price closed at $3.6 million. It's a beautiful piece. I remember being in, and it was, look, that's $1,000, just a little over $1,000 a square foot there. I was in that unit when the building was first built, again, about 20 years ago. But that's a pretty good price for Old City. So all in all, what we're seeing is a real change when we get this newer construction, or we get some buildings that have been gutted and in their entirety. Old City is a really kind of neat neighborhood unto itself, where it's a little bit like Soho in nature, where you'll find a lot of people on the streets, a lot of shops on the first floor with residents, apartments, condos above them, getting to be very, very popular. And if you're looking for something with a little bit of a twist to it, you may want to take a look at Old City. Like I said, I lived in the neighborhood for 21 years. I know the city like the back of my hand, and I lived in Old City because I think it's a really great, safe, fun neighborhood. So there you go. This is Mark Wade with a little bit of an update on Old City. Questions, comments, concerns, love to hear from you. Again, Mark at CenterCity.com. Hope to hear from you. Thank you so much.